Welcome back to the Solutions Lab. I am Chris Phillips. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Today, we got a great topic. We're going to be taking a look at the new HPE ProLiant Gen11 solutions powered by AMD EPYC processors. And to do that, I have two wonderful speakers with me here today. We'll get to them in a moment. But before we get started, I do want to kind of go over the dashboard if you guys have been joining us for the first time and kind of go over what we're going to be, how we're going to be presenting here today. If you have any questions throughout the entire broadcast, we will be taking questions throughout the entire time. The best way to ask a question is to put it into our question box, which I go when highlighted for you right there. As the questions come in, we'll be asking or we'll be answering them. And if there's any questions that we don't get to by the end of the broadcast, we'll have some time set aside at the end to take care of that. We also do have some resources that are available. They're over here on your right as well. Go ahead and look through that. And there's also a link to the HPE Partner Portal if you're not familiar with that. Go ahead and use the Partner Portal to get access to all the great information on that site as well. But to kick things off, I'm actually going to throw it over to Bryce. Bryce, how's it going, man?
It's going good, going good. Thank you for having me. Super excited to be on. Yeah.
Great to see you. I'm a lifelong Lions fan, so we're not going to fight. We'll be fine.
I apologize for those of you who are not Green Bay fans. Wife is from Green Bay, so
there you go.
You know, I'm a Green Bay fan by
you were
marriage.
adopted. It's fine then. It's good.
Yes.
So you want to go ahead and kick things off, Bryce?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. I can. So quick intro to myself. I do have a smiling picture here in one of the next slides. But my name is Bryce Shepard, North America Alliance Manager for AMD at HPE. And what does that mean? That means I cover the entire portfolio at HPE that has an AMD processor inside. Really focused on the server business on our end. So that's what we'll touch on a lot today. All of our Gen11 compute options, along with one of our new servers, the DL145. And with me today, I also have Jeff Presley from AMD. He's going to do a quick intro as well, and he'll kind of highlight who are the right resources at D&H to go to, and then we'll get into the content. So with that, I'll pass it to Jeff and move the slide forward.
Thank you, Bryce. So I'm Jeff Presley, and I'm responsible for the D&H relationship from an AMD perspective. And I cover all things AMD except for components. So I cover things like the server side, the client side, workstation, desktop, laptops. I have an entire funded team that I work with at D&H, and it covers a lot of different categories. But the key part for you to remember is that if you have any questions relative to AMD at D&H, it's very easy. Submit your opportunity, question, or any need for resources at askamd@dnh.com. And this group monitors that mailbox and they get it to the right person as you go forward. So I just wanted to let you know I've got a full staff of team members from D&H that are focused on just AMD. And Bryce, I'll bring it back to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Jeff. And then another quick intro to myself. There's a picture of me smiling, and then also my other team member, his name is Cal Liming. He's our North America category manager. We'd like to say I like to be more on the sales side. Cal always jokes I'm the golf smile and lunch guy, and Cal's the one that comes in and gets the actual things done, just to keep it fun today. But I did see in the chat already there's an Eagles fan. I think we are all jealous across the board, right, of the Eagles. Congrats on the Super Bowl. We are all jealous as sports fans. So next, I think we're going to have a quick poll here. Just on a scale from 1 to 10, how familiar are you with the HPE ProLiant portfolio powered by AMD processors? So I'll give a quick opportunity for everyone to get that answer just to kind of understand where we're all at and what we'll touch on today. So
yeah, I'm excited to learn kind of what's new, latest and greatest from the EPYC series. Anytime we can get any kind of new information on that stuff, much appreciated. I'm sure as many of the people that are on here today excited to learn more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll definitely touch on kind of where we've been in the partnership and where we are now. It's really certainly grown over the over the last few years. We've had a lot of success recently in the first half. Been a really good first half for us on the HPE AMD side. And that's a big thanks to all of our partners and, of course, D&H as well. So big thank you to all of you for helping us grow the indirect business that we have currently with HPE AMD on our end.
All right, I believe we do have some results. If you want to go ahead and go forward.
Perfect. Yeah, let's go forward. All right, perfect. A good mix here. So we'll keep it pretty high level as well. We'll dive in a little bit deeper for those of you that are an 8 to 10 and understand the portfolio. But we'll kind of talk about where the partnership started, where it is now, highlight the entire HPE AMD portfolio, and then, as I mentioned, kind of focus on one of our new products that was just announced last October, which is the HPE ProLiant DL145. And with that, I think it's time to get started. All right, so little history here of where AMD has been in the marketplace, right? So when we look back to 2018 or 2017, really when AMD re-entered the data center market space, you can see our share was really, really low, around 2% as we closed 2017, moving into 18 with that first generation processor with the 32 core technology. Then we had our second generation launch, and that's when we introduced the 64 core on our end. So we started to see some traction, some momentum build, and then we had third gen, which was also 64 core, and then we've continuously increased the core counts when we're now up to 160 cores now with the fifth generation AMD EPYC processors. But just to kind of highlight here, just a little joke to get started. If you look at the 2020 timeframe, that's about the time I joined the team. So I like to tell, AMD as I'm working with them, really since I joined in the 2020 timeframe, it's been steady up and to the right, as we continue to focus on the partnership up and to the right. So if you're talking to anyone from AMD, say, hey, Bryce is making a difference. Please get that out there to the AMD side. And as we move on, as our customer base has expanded, these are just some of our customers around the world. With AMD, you can see a lot of different names here across the board, and just give everyone a second to kind of look at where we are currently winning and some of our big customers that we're working with today. These are some of our wins that we like to highlight and we have partnerships with on the AMD side. Perfect. All right. So as I was talking about, where have we been? Where are we now? Right. So when we look at it, I mentioned the first generation AMD EPYC processor. It was Naples. The code name was Naples, 32 cores. And then we had Rome, which was 64 cores. Then we had Milan, which was, again, 64 cores. We made some additional enhancements on the cache size. So we had larger cache capabilities, really speed to the data on the processor side. Then we had our fourth generation AMD EPYC processors, which were Genoa and Bergamo. So we can see up to 128 cores there. And then we have our fifth generation AMD EPYC processor. Now codename is Turin, up to 160 cores. So we support all the way from 8 cores. I'll say that one more time. There might be a poll question. We support from 8 cores all the way to 160 cores. So 8 core is the low end processor, 160 core is the high end. So as we look at this is what the portfolio is and what it is currently today. As we move forward, we're going to really focus on the right side of the screen. We'll have Gen 10 Plus V2 around just a little bit longer. We're expecting that to go end of life in the July timeframe. So we're going to really focus on the Gen 11 portfolio today. And then you may have noticed I skipped over that fourth generation AMD EPYC processor, the 8004 series. That is the codename Sienna processor, and that is what powers the HPE ProLiant DL145. So a little bit lower core count there, 8 core to 64 core, lower wattage, lower TDP. So a server, still a very high performing processor, but really it powers that edge server for us on our HPE side. Any questions so far? Anything in the chat? We're going to take a quick break. If I ask for any questions, it's really just because I need a quick drink of water.
No questions so far.
Perfect. All right. So here's some of the processor or the generation, differences that we have. As I mentioned, third generation, 64 core, fourth generation, we doubled, moved to 128. And then now with the fifth generation, we have support for up to 160 cores. When we look at Gen 11, what's new? The fourth and fifth generation will be in Gen 11. So you'll see the DDR5 capabilities, PCIe, Gen 5, the security enhancements, all the security features that AMD brings alongside all of the security features that we have on the HPE side. And then you'll see the power draw. So the power, of course, increases with the increase in core count. So fourth generation was 200 watt to 400 watt. 5th gen will now get into that 500 watt range soon on the HPE side. We don't support the 500 watt yet today, but hopefully soon on our end. All right, so it's a little bit of a, kind of quick walkthrough of what's available on the processor side, where AMD has been, where they are today. Now let's kind of touch on what's the value prop. What's the key when we're talking HPE AMD? If I could have 3 things to go talk to my customers about, what would it be? So I always say cost savings, performance, and security. I like to keep it simple. On the cost saving side, we used to have a really good licensing story. We're working through that again now, but just the core capabilities that we have, we still do have a very strong licensing story, being able to potentially save our customers on some licensing costs. CapEx is the platform cost. So upfront investment may be a little bit, may not be as expensive on the upfront investment, but we also save customers money over time. And then when we look at OpEx, less power consumption. So when we're talking an overall TCO story for our customers, really saving them dollars over time. Consolidation, less physical space, being able to do more with less on the server side. So when we talk about that, consolidating our customers' environments, maybe moving them from an older 2P environment with low core counts, lots of servers, maybe increasing that core count, less servers in the environment, saving on power and cooling, and all of the above for our customers. And then redundancy. There still are some customers that say, oh, I like the 2P systems because if one processor goes down, I get to keep, my server stays on. Not true. With redundancy, that does not work that way on the processor side. If one processor fails, your whole system, your whole server is not going to be working anymore. So really that 1P story that we have with AMD, we say 2P performance with 1P economics on our side. And then performance, when we're talking HPE and AMD, 43 world records and counting today across a number of workloads there. So you can see energy efficiency, big data and analytics, SDI, server-side Java, and cloud and virtualization. And really, VDI is another one for us when we're talking about some different workloads there. But virtualization, VDI are really big ones for us on the HPE AMD side. And then security. We have additional security features on the AMD processor side that partner really well with everything we do from the HPE side with Silicon Root of Trust, our ILO capabilities, all of those that we already have built in, from the building of the server to the retirement of the server, the strong security story that HPE has. We actually partnered with AMD, and the AMD Secure processor does authentication checks at the firmware level with the HPE server, and we secure the actual DIMMs on the server. So it's secure memory encryption where we actually secure the DIMMs on the server. If I always like to think this way: if a ninja gets in the data center, we're thinking Mission Impossible, that just came out. A ninja gets in the data center, hops in, takes the DIMM stick out of the server, freezes it, tries to access the data later. They can't, because that data is encrypted with secure memory encryption capabilities from AMD. And then into the virtual machine layer as well, into the VM layer with secure encrypted virtualization. So a lot of times hackers will get in, jump virtual machine to virtual machine. We encrypt each individual virtual machine with a secure processor technology. So that really limits that capability for, if we have any external threats trying to get some of our data. But really, this is the story here when we're talking HPE, AMD, cost savings, performance, and security. And we'll touch on why a little bit later as well.
There was a question that kind of goes back a couple slides with the 5th, 4th, and 3rd gen comparison. Rodney wanted to know, why is the cache lower on the 5th gen?
Yeah, so let's go back here. Let's see. Let me see if I can work this correct.
Yep, you're good.
All right, there we go. Perfect. So Jeff may be able to answer this a little bit as well, but we do have, it's just due to how the processor is built and constructed. So we had Milan X was the name on the 3rd generation side with Milan. We just don't have it listed here, but it adds for additional cache. So we'll have some processors with different naming conventions, and they will just have additional cache there on the processor side. We do not have that in 5th gen. We don't have that X feature to add for additional cache capabilities, but we do have it on the 4th gen. And Jeff, I hope I answered that correctly. If you want to add any additional color there.
So what we do in a time frame after we release the original release of a processor, we within a time frame release what they call a 3D V-cache version, and it's layered triple the L3 cache is what it does on the processor. And so That one's not out yet for the 5th generation, and on the 4th generation, it was out. So in time, you will see that 5th generation will increase that way as well.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. So, yeah, that's really it. So it's not that we won't have it on 5th gen. It's just coming. We just release it later after the initial processor launch. Great question. Great question. All right. Let's get back. There we go. All right. So as we look at it here on our side, just what is the roadmap? Where are we today with HPE AMD? What's coming? What's new? So you can see when we talked about Gen 10 Plus V2 earlier, that will be going away a little bit on our side. So the first half of 25, as I mentioned, we will not be supporting, Gen 10 Plus V2 moving forward. So when we're talking to our customers, and there's been, Gen 12 announcements from HPE, and everyone is kind of wondering, hey, is Gen 11, still going to be around? Does AMD have a product as well? We do. This just shows that the roadmap for Gen 11 is a very long life cycle product for us here at HP. So we launched, oh gosh, I could get the date wrong here. We launched a few years ago with Gen 11, and we will have the 4th generation AMD EPYC processors supported until they will be, able for our customers to purchase until the second half of 2026. That could still be extended. We don't know for sure yet, but I hope maybe someone could put this in the chat. How long does HPE support a product after it goes end of life or discontinued? We'll see if we can get that answer in the chat. But we support, I'll wait. But with 5th gen, we'll support that into the first half and beyond into 2027. So when we're having these customer conversations or talking to our customers about HPE and AMD, we still have bleeding edge technology right now with the processor capabilities of AMD, and we'll have that into many years from now. So when we think about the server launching a few years ago and being able to support it into potentially 2031, 2032, 2033. Did we get any answers there? It's okay if we didn't.
Does not look like it.
All right, no worries. It's 5 years. 5 years after the discontinued date, HP still supports our servers. All right, yeah, I've been talking a lot about roadmap, what's available. All right, what is the meat of it? What are we actually selling? What's actually on the truck? What can we go talk to our customers about? A lot of what we're focusing on today is going to be the left side of the screen here. So it's going to be our HPE ProLiant servers, and also we'll have our DX servers there as well if we're having customer conversations around VMware, Broadcom, if there's any alternatives. We just have that listed here, but a lot's going to be that top left of the slide here. So we have our 325, 345, 365, and 385, and we have our ProLiant DL145 that is now new. All of these are going to be Gen 11. We'll do a little bit deeper dive on that portfolio here in a second. As we move to the middle of the screen, I have to be completely honest, this is a total brag part of the slide for us when we're talking the capabilities of HPE and AMD. If anyone has heard of El Capitan or Frontier, you can do a quick Google search. I hope Jeff's smiling somewhere when we're bringing this up, and do a quick Google search. It's 2 of the largest and fastest supercomputers in the world, and it's all powered by HPE and AMD. So when we have these conversations, we like to say it's trickle-down engineering. We have customers who have, teams of data scientists. They're running, they're qualifying certain workloads. They're doing a bunch of qualifications, certifications on these servers. They are choosing HPE and AMD. It's the same processor that we send to those large customers that we do to our SMB, our commercial, our enterprise customers. So when we're talking to our customers about that, you're getting the best-in-class technology with HPE AMD that some of our largest customers are choosing, and you can have that in a 325, 345, 365, 385, or Gen 11 at a really lower price point and a way lower core count. On the storage side, if anyone's talking storage on their end, we do power some of our storage line today. We have the Electra MP and the Electra 6000 available, that if we're talking to any of our customers about storage, those are powered by AMD as well. So a few years ago, we were not in any of our storage products, and now we are in both of our storage products. Any questions so far?
Nope.
Perfect. All right. So we've been through a lot. We have 4th generation processors, 5th generation processors. We have an 8004 series processor that we mentioned. Where do they all fit? Hopefully this slide makes it super easy to kind of digest and figure out where everything fits on our end. So you'll see the 2 9004 and 9005 series processors. Those are going to be in our 3x5 portfolio with Gen 11. So anything with a 3 and a different number in the middle and a 5 at the end, that's going to be the 9004 series and 9005 series processor. The DL145, that'll be the 8004 series or codenamed Sienna processor. So really easy to kind of navigate this when we're looking at it. If anyone's seen a spec sheet, if you look up, quick specs online, we have a long list. It's a big, long PDF of what can go in the server. I said, hey, let's take out the good stuff. Let's take out what everyone really wants to know. And, what are the maximum capabilities that we have in these boxes and these servers? And that's what we have here. So you can see 8 core to 160 core in our 1P platforms. And then you can see 8 core to 320 core in our 2P systems. So our 2P systems are listed down here, the 365 and 385. 1P is up here, and the DL145 is 2U 1P as well. Any questions on the portfolio?
I will ask a question because
Yeah,
I do
of course.
build a lot of servers here at D&H for customers, and my question usually always revolves around memory when we're putting it in there. How many memory channels per processor?
12.
12.
Yep. So 12 DIMMs per channel. So with Gen 11 we have 12 DIMMs per channel. So per processor. So if we have a 2P system, it's 24.
Gosh. Wow. Okay.
Yes.
That's a lot. That's a lot. So that actually makes life easier.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we look at it, we'll have the 145, and when we look at the 145 here in a bit, it's about half the length and a little bit smaller on the width. So you'll see everything kind of cut in half. It's still 1 DIMM per channel, but it's 6 DIMMs per the processor. So we can have 6 DIMMs in the 145 as well. Absolutely. Cool. Great question. Great question. All right. So if we're talking workloads and we're talking about where does AMD fit, it's great. Of course, we lead with VDI, and that's due to the clock cores and cache capabilities that we have on the AMD processors. We can always deep dive on that if it's needed, but VDI is the lead with platform. HPE AMD is the lead with platform on our side for VDI, just due to the capabilities that we have in the processor and standard virtualization. So when we move database management, data analytics, and everyone's kind of talking AI right now, machine learning, HPC, that's where you'll see the 385 be our fit. If you're looking for max GPU support, we have the 385 there with the 2 processors and max GPU support. That's a very different conversation than a lot of us have on day-to-day with our customers. When we're looking at 365, 345, 325, those are all a really good fit. Boxes that fit for certain things, certain workloads for our customers. A 345 has gained a lot of traction on our side. It's a 2U 1P system. So as the question was asked, a little bit larger memory footprint there with the 1P, with large storage footprint there. Sorry, with the 1P system, larger server, being able to add some additional storage capabilities there. The 365 being able to put 2 potential 160 core processors, and there's a box that really hums on the compute side. And then the 325 has been our most popular server, with the 8 core capability up to 160 being in that 1U 1P footprint on our side. All right. Any questions so far? We will move on to the new. All right. So, sorry about that. All right. So this is our new product. It just launched in October. It's the HPE ProLiant DL145. This is a 2U 1P system. If you've seen anything about it, it's been, kind of marketed as AI ready for the edge. We're saying, hey, it's a server that can do it all, right? It's a little bit smaller. It kind of adds some versatility to our portfolio. We've had just the ProLiant servers. Recently on our side, just the 325, our standard servers, but this is new. This is different on our end. And it has all the beautiful marketing buzzwords: compact, quiet, resilient, 1P server designed to cater to a diverse portfolio of edge locations. What does that mean? We'll get into it here in just a second. All right. So when we're talking the 145, a lot of it's built around edge, but we also want to highlight the server can be, one of the kind of a lower cost entry point server for our SMB customers, mid-enterprise customers looking for a low core count and a really good entry price point. But a lot of it's going to be centered around edge. So can anyone tell me what edge is in a definition? Just, a few words. What is edge in your mind?
Go ahead and put that in the question box. We'll be able to read it from there. So if you want to go ahead and take a crack at that. I could take a crack at that, but
Yeah, yeah.
I think that would defeat the purpose here. So I
We'll
would
see
love
if we
I'd
get
love
anything
to.
in the chat, but if not, you can always take a crack at
Yeah,
it.
I can
So,
embarrass myself. It's fine.
yeah,
Come
go
on,
for it.
guys.
Go for it.
Either don't answer or let me embarrass myself.
Let's see. It's all right. It's all right. You want to take a shot at it?
Sure. I always define any device that's on the edge as kind of oh, well, there was one that sorry, someone just came in with an answer, and it
I like
an
that. Devin.
advantage
All
of
right, that was
yeah,
good.
X advantage of sort.
I like it. I like it. That's a good answer.
It's just a device that sits on the periphery of the network. It's
Yeah.
one of the last
That
yeah.
That is perfect. That's a perfect answer, right? We just kind of keep it simple. We say, hey, anything that's outside of the data center, right? Anything
Yeah.
that's not in that controlled environment in the data center, it doesn't have on-site IT support, space constraints, site security, temperature challenges, all the above. Just anything that's not in that controlled data center environment.
Exactly. If I say the periphery of the network because it's like you said, it's connected to a switch that then it's out in the world. So you can have switches, servers, workstations, whatever on the edge. So
absolutely, I definitely have to take that in one of my next presentations though, and say the edge is just an advantage of some port. We got an edge.
yeah.
That's perfect. I love that answer. Thank you for that. But yeah, definitely anything outside the data center. So as we talk about that, kind of listed here, done on site rather than at a remote data center. Edge computing means moving compute to where data is generated to enable real-time insights and support fast, accurate business building actions. So having that server right there where we need to collect data points and have it live right there on hand. The edge is not cloud computing. Sometimes we talk to customers and they say, "Oh yeah, we're doing things at the edge. We're in the cloud. The edge is in the cloud." Cloud is just someone else's data center, right? You're just doing something in another data center. It's not edge computing. So edge is not cloud. Edge is not cloud. All right. Where are we kind of seeing this server fit, right? When we're talking about it, what industries are we seeing this in? Retail, manufacturing, logistics, and healthcare have been the big ones. But as I mentioned, really for those SMB customers, remote offices, branch offices where they need to collect data, where they may not have giant data centers that they're running, but they may have a tower or some kind of server there. The 145 can be a fit there as well, and we'll kind of show where the 145 is positioned across the entire portfolio here in a second. But these are the big industries that we're seeing. We've seen a lot of success in retail so far, being able to capture insights right there, point of sale, all of the above with retail. We're still working a lot on manufacturing, logistics, and healthcare. We thought this would take off really quickly in healthcare. A lot of testing going on, but nothing to really highlight so far, but a lot of POCs and customers interested in the product and collecting that data at the edge. All right, so what does this look like? We've talked a lot about it. It can't just look like a standard server. So again, all the marketing, beautiful buzzwords here: affordable, compact, and quiet, powerful and efficient CPU and GPU support, enterprise-grade security. That's the beautiful thing about the having the HPE ProLiant name behind the DL145 is we have all the security features of ProLiant, right? All the feature sets that we have in our ProLiant servers, we have in this at the edge. Rugged and reliable. This front right here is actually a filter. I'll kind of show a picture of that as well. And then easy to deploy and manage. As we talk about it, if it's a larger customer environment or if we're talking to them about their edge locations, how will I manage it? This has the capability to be added into COM, our compute ops management platform, being able to manage that server at the edge. So we don't have to send someone to a remote location to manage that server. It can be managed right there from a single pane of glass from anywhere in the world. All right. A little bit different here on the CPU side, as we touched on. It's 8-core to 64-core. And as you can see, the wattage is a lot lower. I think we were talking about with 5th gen, we go up to 500 watt. This, we kind of stay from 80 watt to 200 watt, right? So it kind of helps the server. It runs a little bit quieter here on our side, but we still get 4,800 mega transfers a second on the memory side. I know we had some questions about memory, so we still got some good memory capabilities there. Here's the feature sets. This is kind of similar to the spec sheet I mentioned earlier, kind of small words, small font. Hey, let's all look at this real quick. But as I mentioned, it's 15 inches wide and 16 inches deep. So when we look at that, it's about half the width, half the length of our standard HPE ProLiant servers. Super quiet. We have another slide here coming up about how quiet this server can be. As I mentioned, 6 memory channels, so 1 DIMM per channel, as was mentioned earlier. And then the big thing here is systems management, right? ILO, Compute Ops Manager, OneView, OpenBMC support, all the capabilities of HPE ProLiant. And then when we're talking about security, HPE Silicon Root of Trust, we have the platform certificates, TPM, chassis intrusion kit, bezel lock, and Kensington lock. Everything to secure this server at the edge or where it may be in a cabinet, on a desk, wherever you choose to mount this. I do want to highlight as well that you can put up to 3 GPUs in the server. Also, it's up to 3 L4 GPUs. That's why we kind of say, AI ready for the edge, because it's AI ready with the ability to put 3 L4 NVIDIA GPUs into this server as well. Any questions? It's just me taking a drink. Perfect. All right. So some of the buzzwords here, again, a little bit of marketing, but really keeps it simple here, right? So we say edge ready. So this can be mounted on a tabletop, a wall, or a cabinet, and also into a rack. And then when we talk about manageable, 75% less time, that's really when we talk about our Compute Ops Manager capabilities, being able to manage these servers at those edge locations. Again, 50% smaller, quiet, less noise than a library. Would love to know that this is really just a me issue. I think I have not been to a library since college. That's the last time I was actually in a library that I can actually remember. So anyone in the chat, just react if you can on the screen. When's the last time anyone's been to a library? Has it been in the last year or 2 years? Anyone on the phone, just have a reaction in the chat would be nice.
I have young children, and they go to the library for events, and I'm telling you, quiet as a library is not a low bar to clear. So
exactly,
I'm hoping,
right? Exactly. So that's the lead in here, right? That's the lead in here. Exactly right. So I was doing some digging myself and said, quiet, less noise in the library. How can we explain that? When I haven't been to a library in so long, and sometimes there's a lot of things happening in the library. You can almost relate it to the sound of your fridge in your home or your apartment, right? So as you walk by your fridge, you're not really hearing your fridge run unless it's time to get a new fridge, right? But you're not hearing it. It's not impacting your day-to-day. You don't really think about it when you're having conversations, maybe in the kitchen, unless it's making ice. And I can guarantee you, I've never seen this server make ice, so it won't have that problem out there at the edge. So,
well, you just lost a sale then, man. I was on board.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. But I figured that's a little easier to relate to than a library, right? If you're in your home, an apartment, wherever you are, you don't hear your fridge as you're going through your day-to-day life. Operating temperatures, as we mentioned, built for the edge. I cheated. I put the answer here, but it's -5 degrees Celsius to 55 degrees Celsius. That just translates to 23 degrees Fahrenheit or 131 degrees Fahrenheit. So really for those remote locations, if it's really cold or hot, and then all the security features that I mentioned as well. All right, here. This is kind of the slide that I was referencing. Where do we see this server fitting? Everything around it is edge, but it's more than that. It's a really good addition to our portfolio. So as we look here we start with the micro servers on the left, we move into the tower, then we see the ProLiant DL145 right there in the middle. The actual notes here say it's the Goldilocks of the portfolio. I don't know how I feel about that as well. I just think it's the golden child, right? It's the new product that kind of fits right there in the sweet spot. Then we move to our general with our 32X platforms, and then we have our Edgeline platforms on the right as well. But you can see here for the use cases, enterprise, growing SMBs, and mid-enterprise, and then edge AI. So it's really not just for edge or AI use cases. It can be for those growing SMBs, for those enterprise customers, and those mid-enterprise customers. If they're looking for something on the AMD side, that's not 160 cores, right? It's not, a potentially 192 cores here coming soon. It's not all these cores. We can get a lower core count, less memory. We know memory drives up cost sometimes, less memory in the server, and we can kind of get a low, really nice entry point with the DL145. So a perfect fit into the portfolio, and really a nice addition for us on our end. All right, so just to dive into it a little bit more, just to talk about some of the feature sets. Here's the front view with the bezel filter. So the front here, if it's in an edge location, dusty location, this is actually a filter. And ILO will trigger an alert every 90 days. It's on a 90-day timer. You can adjust the timer a little bit if you would like, or you can reset the timer, and it can be customized. So every 90 days, you'll get an alert. So think of it as a Nest thermostat in your home. It just kind of tells you, hey, might be time to change the filters. Same kind of alert pops up with this one. Just go check it, but it keeps all the dust and debris from getting in the server if it is at an edge location. If we are talking to a customer about it and they are going to deploy this at an edge location, we are recommending to add the additional replacement parts for the filters, just so they have some on hand. And you can see the replacement part number listed right there as well. And this is actually the front view of the server for the DL145. So you can see here up to 2 small form factor or 6 EDSFF SSDs. You see the boot RAID here, the ILO servers ports, the PCIe slots for the GPUs here, redundant power supplies, and this is actually the front. So if we go back to this slide here, you'll see this is the filter. The filter will actually go over all this here, and the cabling will run down the right side of the server if it's in a rack and go back here, or it'll just have the power supply and it'll plug in from right there. And then this will kind of address some of the questions, how many DIMMs, right? So 6, we could put 6 DIMM channels here. So as we mentioned, it's about half the length, half, smaller on the width side. So we just kind of cut everything in half from the capability perspective. The fans are located in the back. That's a little different on our side too. So it'll actually pull through to cool the server. So the fans will actually pull everything through to cool the server on this end. The fan, it flows this way to the right. Any questions?
A couple comments and a question. Caesar is also perplexed to what a library is. I'm right there with him. He was also mentioning that you mentioned you could use an AI server, that this has a 3 GPU limit, and he said 3 GPU limit ? My question to that part is, would you need a different power supply unit, or would the stock power supply be able to support 3 GPUs?
Sorry, one more time.
For this unit, would you be able to use the stock GPU, or excuse me, the stock power supply unit to power 3 GPUs, or would you need a new?
Yes. You could use the stock. Of course, that's when you're building it out, you could kind of see what the power needs are as well, and if you needed something additional. But what we have as the options for the server would fit if you had it fully stacked with 3 GPUs. That option would be available. And then it's a really good question. So I see the question here. I'm actually going down in the chat. So if it freezes me, I apologize.
That's fine.
So what was it? Yeah, the limit is 3 GPUs. Yes. So on this particular server, that is the limit. It's just because it's built for the edge. So we can't, if we start adding additional components or adding the ability for additional GPUs or another processor, it wouldn't be as quiet for those edge locations, and we would have to make the server bigger, right? So this is really just for edge AI when we're talking about it, but we can put GPUs into our 325s, 365, 385, and 345. So that has GPU support as well, and we can add some additional GPUs there. So it's, with this particular server, it's 3 L4s or 1 L40S is what we support on the DL145. But we, on our ProLiant, our other ProLiant servers, when we're talking about the 300 series, we do, we say, it's A+N. So it's AMD CPU. We can add some NVIDIA GPUs there as well, and support it that way also.
And I think this is a great comment. Yeah. And I think this is a great comment that'll lead into what you're going to talk about next.
Yeah.
Someone was saying sometimes it feels like the only benefactors to having a server is for big businesses. He's quite sure that small businesses, owners, and even home offices would benefit from having a private server. So I think he was referring to a big server being like the cloud. And if you're a small business owner, you'd be more beneficial to have a smaller server, a private server like this. Just asking if he was on point. He's a new reseller, and he was trying to kind of get a handle on this business.
I really love the comment there. So as we've went to market with this on our side as a team, it was really centered around just the edge, right? That's what they wanted us to talk about, edge, edge, edge. But as a team, we took a step back and said, hey, this could be a fit for small business owners, right? Home offices, remote offices, right? This server could be a fit for them. It's a better price point, right? It's private. You have your own server sitting there. And that's where we've kind of tried to take the messaging as our North America AMD team. And that's exactly the way we're kind of thinking about it now, as well as we can't just solely think about it as edge. This server could be used for a number of use cases, right? If you're running just standard virtualization workloads at a remote office or a small business office, this server could be a good fit. And it just kind of, as I said, it adds to our portfolio where we have, all of our rack servers, but this server could be, used against a tower or a microserver if a customer is looking for just a little bit more, right? This is where the 145 could fit. So I love that comment, and that's exactly how I hope we are thinking about it, right? So thank you for that comment. Yeah.
Well, and Bryce, one more comment is when you start looking at car dealerships, doctors' offices, small manufacturing facilities, small retail offices, those are really a good fit for this DL145.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about going after that SMB business, this is a good fit for that.
Absolutely, completely correct there, and that comment actually makes me feel good about today because we're really trying to get that messaging across that this server is very versatile and can be used for a number of different use cases and things for our customers, and it's really good to kind of hear that thought process for the server. So thank you for that comment. It's appreciated. Yeah.
Yeah, Caesar kind of replied back. This is a perfect fit for home automation using things like Llama AI.
Absolutely,
and I'd agree. I'm sitting here going, man, I might need one of these things for my house with as much tinkering as I'm doing around here.
Absolutely, and I see another question there. Is there sales support for presenting to smaller customers? Absolutely. So you can always reach out to myself if you need someone and you're not real sure who your HPE resource is, or you can reach out to the D&H team. They could get you in touch with your DBM. I will name drop him. I saw him in the chat earlier, but Wayne Bruneau can also help align the HPE resources to help present. And myself and Cal, who you saw on the earlier slides, our two smiling faces, we're always happy to jump on a customer call and walk through this as well, and then kind of help them understand the use cases for the 145.
Rodney wants to know, does the wall mount kit come with the server?
You will have to add it in. It's an add if you're building the server in OCA. So it's just going to be an add. We're working on making the rack mount just included in OCA. Today we're working on that to have the rack mount included while you're building the server, but you'll have to add the kit that you're looking for depending on the customer use case.
I think a lot of people had the aha moment at the same time. Again, another comment that this is great, especially with the rise of blockchain developers.
Yes,
I'd agree as well. Yeah,
this is great. This is great. My day is made. So, all right.
Go ahead and continue.
Yeah. So we'll kind of run through this. I think these are just kind of some different examples of what we're seeing in retail, but we're seeing this used for loss prevention, real-time inventory management, flow analysis, and point of sale. And this would just kind of be what the example would look like on our side. So you kind of have your enterprise planning development, your data center. We move to the edge compute for video analytics, edge compute for site operations, and you can see kind of here, connected to the IP sensors and cameras. It can go back to the site manager, can go back, to the site operations manager. Anything that you're kind of wanting to collect at the edge, this would just be kind of a scenario for retail using Vision AI. And then here, touch on manufacturing just a little bit here. Also, quality assurance, production line, warehouse automation. You'll see this here as well. Kind of another example. Kind of walks you through how these servers would be used, for predictive maintenance, business operations, and then kind of can go back to the factory manager using the IPC and cameras and some of the software companies we're qualifying and certifying on the server as well. All right, and then just wanted to highlight this as well. As I mentioned a little bit earlier in the presentation, Compute Ops Manager, it's actually HPE GreenLake for Compute Ops Management, but it's secure multi-server, multi-site management. So for having customers having those edge conversations, we're having customers deploy at the edge, you can manage everything here. From Compute Ops Manager, you can automate tasks. We always say move faster, get your evenings and weekends back with efficient server updates. I think we've all had customer conversations where maybe something happens and they're working, into the weekend, something happens, they have to go on site and diagnose everything. Being able to do that from their computer or remote location here. Set and protect is another big feature as well. Reduce risk with faster, continuous patching policies and secure connections with Compute Ops Manager. So we can always talk about this and deep dive this with customers if they're interested on server management and how we can make it easier with HPE. All right. Here's some use case support for the DL145, everything we've already kind of touched on, and we even have new use cases coming in the chat live as we've talked about the server, so we thank you for that. Here's some use cases that we have, and then qualifications, what we're working on qualifying on the DL145. If you have any questions on what's qualified on any of our servers, you can always reach out to me, but here's some of the qualifications that we're working on the DL145 today. And then Smart Choice. I hope everyone's a little familiar with Smart Choice with HPE. These are servers that are pre-built, ready to ship at distribution today. I believe D&H has a few servers on the shelf or in inventory, ready to go to customers. You can see we do have a Smart Choice with the DL145, the 8-core and a 16-core available. We have our 325, a 32-core, and a 16-core available, the 345, a 32, and then we have the 365 and 385, both with dual 32-core processors. Those are a little on the price side. We kind of built those just for customers who need something quick, who have larger workloads, but we really want to highlight the DL145, the 8-core and the 16-core, really good price points there on our end. And then when we're talking about the 325, the 16-core really hits that sweet spot from a price point when you're looking at it compared to the 32-core or some of our additional options that we have out there today.
Yeah. The DL145 is available right now on dnh.com. We do have stock on
absolutely
on both the 8-core and was the 8-core and the 16-core
and the 16. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Perfect opportunity if there's a customer top of mind to, if they're interested in potentially testing the server or having the server, absolutely, as was mentioned, go out to the D&H site, see what's available, and you'll be able to see price points and things as well and see if it's a good fit. And then want to highlight this also. It's our HPE AMD Better Together portal. It's really just a repository for all AMD-based HPE systems for sales, pre-sales, marketing, and we open it to the channel as well. A bunch of different collateral and documents that we have on there. It's actually loaded onto the Better Together portal before I actually received the document on my end, and I cover the partnership across North America. So this is a great spot. You can just log in with your partner credentials. You get access to it, and you can it's very simple site to navigate. You just search, and it pulls up anything HPE, AMD for what you're searching. If you can't find anything, you can always reach out to me, and I may have something laying around. And again, here's a quick reference guide for the DL145. And then promotions that we currently have going on today in the channel around HPE. You can see our logo there, of course, listed there with a number of other vendors, but on CTO solutions, 150 per unit, and then 50 per unit with HPE support, and then 250 per unit if we're selling an HPE Smart Choice configuration. So Smart Choice, we're doubling down and we're investing in Smart Choice, and 250 per unit up, for the partner, for you, the partner, to earn if you're selling an HPE Smart Choice server. And with that, it's a beautiful logo. I like to show the two side by side. And then I got a nice thank you there. But thank you to everyone for the time. If there's any additional questions, feel free to put them in the chat now. We can talk through them and answer. But wanted to leave about 10 minutes for Q&A. And I think we got a few poll questions if you feel like answering those. But cannot thank you enough for the time. Thank you for the partnership. And go HPE and AMD.
Yeah, we'll slowly start pushing out the poll questions as we go here, and we, like you said, we have a little bit of time for additional questions, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight that window. If you guys have any additional questions, I'm going to put Jeff Presley on the spot here for a post webcast interview. First of all, how do you think Bryce did?
As always, an excellent job.
Coach is here to bail out his teammate. There was a comment that came in. Excellent presentation, a lot of fresh information for me. I would agree. Didn't even know that this was in the HPE repertoire here. So, very eye-opening presentation from my point of view. We did push out a poll question that was asking what are the minimum number of cores in HPE ProLiant supports today with the AMD EPYC 5th generation processor. Let's look at the answer, see if anyone got it right.
Yeah, we got a few.
I don't remember what the answer is, so you guys tell me.
It's 8 today, so that's the minimum, right? That's the minimum that we support today is 8 on the core count side. So sometimes the questions are worded and they're a little confusing, but the minimum number of cores that we support is 8 today, and we go all the way up to 160 cores. So 8's the minimum that we can get in a processor. So.
We'll make the next one slightly easier. Wait, I messed up. I pushed out the wrong question. Go ahead, you got it.
Nope. I think I messed up. I think that was on. Yeah, that was my fault.
That's all right. But in all seriousness, final. I'll throw it back over to you, Bryce. Do you have any final comments? Anything you really want people to walk away from before we kind of sign off here?
Yeah, I think the big thing on my end is the partnership between HPE and AMD has certainly grown over the years, and we're starting to see a lot of traction in the market as well with AMD, and we're starting to see customers start to adopt AMD more. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of large customers adopting AMD, and we're seeing more and more wins every day. And as I mentioned, the technology is the same with HPE AMD, whether it's going to our largest customers or our smallest customers. So being able to have that conversation and just trusting that AMD is back in the market. We still hear that today. Jeff's going to probably laugh. We still hear customers and partners say, "Oh, AMD's back. Are they here to stay?" They're very much so here to stay. They're not going anywhere from what Jeff and I have seen. Fingers crossed, we're not going anywhere. But just having the confidence to go talk about it, and hopefully we can teach our customers something, that was taught today, right? Something new, a new product, a new capability that we have with HPE AMD to get them to look at it and test it. So.
And additionally, we have the numbers that come in from the Q1 numbers, and we're now 39% market share in the data center. And so that's telling you that we're more than a third of every new server sell is AMD. And
that's incredible.
And when you talk about where we're going with the technology, is we're going to the smaller size, the 2 nanometer, that will be manufactured next year in Arizona.
There you go.
I didn't know if I could talk futures, Jeff. I didn't know if I could talk futures, but I know there's more coming next year.
Yeah, that's been publicly announced. So that TSMC is the one that announced it. So if they're producing the 2 nanometer size for us, and it actually has gone through its first wave successfully, and so should be shipping next year. Be manufactured in the U.S.
Nice. There's a question out there: which AMD products do we have smart choice options available for? I'll push out those results.
DL, yes,
the DL1 is the correct one. I do also want to bring one slide back up from the very beginning because this is the key slide here. If you have any additional questions, comments, you need support after this broadcast is over, do not hesitate to reach out to this team. Ask AMD at dnh.com. We have a wonderful team that is just ready and willing to help you guys with any needs you might have. So please utilize them. It is a fantastic resource to have.
Perfect. And then if anyone's monitoring the Q&A as well, I just put my email in there. Reach out to me at any time. Feel free to always send me an email. If you're if you're on Microsoft Teams, if you search me, you can ping me as well. I don't mind at all. My job is to help our partners and help everyone sell HP and AMD and understand the portfolio and how to position. So that's what I do day in and day out. So always feel free to reach out to me.
And his email. Go ahead.
One other piece I think is useful to connect with myself and Bryce on LinkedIn, because we continue to put updates out via LinkedIn and the latest and greatest announcements and things like that. So that's another source that you could use as well.
If you want to do that and you're watching live, I went and go ahead and highlighted the speaker bios. Their LinkedIn information is right in that bio. Go ahead and click, add them on LinkedIn. I think that's a great resource as well. But with that, I don't think we have any more questions. Thank you so much, Bryce and Jeff, as always, for all the great information. I think a lot of us had the same aha moment at the same time during this broadcast. So it's a great thing to have. And I'm excited to learn more and see more about this product as we kind of move forward. If you guys have any additional questions after this broadcast is over, or you're watching on demand, or you would like to watch this broadcast again in its entirety, it will be available probably late this week. I would say around Friday. Head on over to dnh.com/solutionslab, and you'll be able to watch it from there. If you have any questions, again, reach out to askamd@dnh.com. They'll be able to answer any questions they might have. But with that, we're going to go ahead and sign off. For Bryce and Jeff, thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.